My name is Dr. Christopher Schultz. I am the Director for Planning and Institutional Effectiveness. I am known here as the planning guy because I'm the individual who really is responsible for trying to make sure that the assessments that occur within all of our units and our academic programs lead to actionable plans and that we are working to continually improve. What I'd like to speak about right now is a document that we call the CAPIE. That stands for our Comprehensive Assessment Plan for Institutional Effectiveness. It's a very important document as it provides the framework for all assessment, planning, and resource allocation activities at the college. This document goes through many different areas which are important, the first being assessment, and it's important to differentiate assessment from evaluation. Assessment is about gathering information for the use in continually improving, whereas evaluation is about gathering information so that we can make a judgment. So our prominent assessment activities at the college include the annual assessment of student learning in our programs. It includes our general education assessments. It includes our non-programmatic course-based assessments like freshman seminar or developmental courses. It also includes our annual assessment of our AES units. Evaluation, on the other hand, are periodic activities which occur every 7 years, and these are unit reviews both at the academic program level and our AES unit level. The CAPIE also is critical for helping us to understand more about how we go about planning. So there's two primary planning processes. One is strategic and the other is operational. Strategic planning represents big, broad ideas that are designed to give us a roadmap for our priorities for the future. Currently, we have a plan from 2013 to 2020. Now, operational planning is actually parallel processes at the college. The first being a central operational plan. That's a plan which connects back to our measurable institutional objectives, which are our strategic goals, and it's done centrally. Within the units and our academic programs, the annual assessments and the unit reviews that they engage in are designed to develop action plans. So although that's operational planning, we call those plans action plans so as to distinguish them from the college's larger operational plan. Resource allocation is also spoken about in the CAPIE, and it's very important that we as a college are able to document that we are allocating resources based on data and that we have evidence that we've done so. So at the end of the CAPIE, there is a graphic which shows how we go about doing something called closing the loop. That's where we take a look at our assessments, we make plans or interventions, we try to determine whether or not those interventions or those plans were successful. We look at whether or not resources need to be allocated to assist in these plans, and then we start the process all over again. And by going through that and using assessment results to continually improve, we have not only closed the loop, but we have evidence of closing the loop, and that evidence is stored in our assessment management system known as TrackDat. So that's the what of the CAPIE. The why. Why do we need a document like this? Well, if we're going to improve, we've got to assess what we're doing. Directly, we've got to be taking a look at whether or not our students are getting the knowledge, the skills, and the personal growth that we expect of them in our programs and at graduation. Indirectly, we've got to make sure that our administrative and educational support units, AES, are helping to provide an environment that's conducive to student learning. And that can be through services such as financial aid, which you would expect at a library, but also areas like plan operations. They play a role as well. And it's important that we document that. Another reason why we need the CAPIE is we need to have a plan. It needs to be comprehensive, systematic, and it needs to ensure that there's accountability so that we can document our progress, and if we're not making the appropriate progress, we know which groups and teams may need greater support to ensure that we are moving forward. Now, how did we get to the CAPIE? This is not a new document, it's an updated document. Our most current update actually is current as of February 2014. It provides some modifications to the June 2013 plan, which was approved by our Board of Trustees. But our first CAPIE actually came out in 2006. So we've been continually revising and updating the document. It's a living, breathing document, and we have to be able to demonstrate that we are assessing the assessment process. And that is actually in the CAPIE as well, an entire section on how we make sure that this document is always being improved and that we're looking at how we go about doing things. So why is this document important? For many reasons. First of all, it helps to communicate that we are serious about assessment, that we have a culture of assessment, that we are engaged in it, and that it's not just a task, but it's really a way of how we do business. It's also important to note that the CAPIE is in alignment with the Middle State Standards 2, 3, 7, and 14. These are standards on resource allocation, assessment, and planning. Currently, Middle States is taking a look at the standards. Regardless of whether the standard numbers change, they will still be focused and want us to remain focused and provide evidence on our resource allocation, planning, and assessment activities. So there will be little change in the CAPIE with these standards. We can only know if we're achieving what we believe we need to achieve if we assess. And if we don't have evidence, then people will say, you haven't done it. And so having an effective assessment process, system, and support is critical. But it can't stop at just assessing. We then need to plan on how to improve. If we find that we're doing better than we thought, that's great. We can move on to another outcome or another objective and see whether or not that's being accomplished. But if not, this is a good time to put in a remediation plan, a plan in which we can make sure that we improve by trying out different things. And if it doesn't work the first time, that's okay. We'll just try again. Assessment is never about passing and failing. You only fail when you don't do assessment.